Oh, fuck you.
Go on, here's your cue.
Fucking take two. I'll cut the speech. We'll play the fucking jingle.
Skadoosh. Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to the Football Boo Podcast. My name is Sven, and I'm one of your main hosts. Joining alongside me, as always, I've got the golden standard of this podcast. I've got Mayhem. How you doing, bud?
What a lovely introduction. That was professional-esque, as if we haven't been tampering with every system on the
Mate,
internet.
you are the Shelton Benjamin of this show.
But that is a
Ain't no
absolute
stopping me now.
niche reference, right there.
But he was known as the golden standard, so it only makes
Niche
sense,
reference.
you know.
No, mate, I'm good. Just back off the Easter holidays. We don't get spring break.
We had spring break. Fuck yeah! Woo. Let's go get some dip and chip. Woo. I mean, yeah, like you said, like we had the Easter holidays, and I specifically booked some time off to enjoy the Easter holidays because usually, as I'm on a particular contract where I work, I have to work during the holidays, but I couldn't withstand all the manual labour this time round, so I thought I deserved the whole Easter holidays off. And go figure, halfway through that, I come under the weather and have to withstand some cold and flu symptoms. And with that, I had to withstand a heavy defeat from my beloved Cardiff City. And not only was it a heavy defeat, it was an absolute train wreck of a second half performance. The first 10 minutes, we withstand heavy possession and early opportunities from Sheffield United, who were second place at the time in the Championship. And after those 10 minutes, we decided, we started to apply pressure on the back line, cause problems, and eventually we earned ourselves a penalty through Jack Simpson, and which was a high foot from one of their defenders, and it was in fact our fourth penalty this season, first one converted through Sorry Kaba, and that makes it. I believe it's his sixth goal in the previous 9 fixtures that he's played in, and that lead lasted all until I think it's Jamie McAtee, the Man City loanee, easily drifted his way through the Cardiff City defence and took a shot centre at goal, which for whatever reason Allsop couldn't keep out. As I mentioned there, centre of goal, couldn't keep it out. And so we went into the interval 1-1, which I thought I'd snap my hand off if you offered me a draw away at Bramall Lane to Sheffield United, who are in second in the Championship. But they went 2-1 up, and then we showed a bit of urgency, pushed forward, caused opportunities, and the biggest highlight coming our way was Connor Wickham hitting the crossbar. From that, just then led to Sheffield United pile under pressure, looking to kill the game off, and that eventually came through a underhit pass back through Mark McGuinness, who has been arguably one of our best players since coming back on loan from Sheffield Wednesday in January. Why he was loaned out in the first place, I'll never know. Underhit pass back, and Njai gets on the end of it, knocks it past Allsop and converts. To wrap the game up was a corner that came in, back post. Allsop's overcrowded by too many Sheffield United players, and it's knocked down and then converted from that point, and they see the game out 4-1, and At this rate, things can. The only way it looks at the moment is that we'll be a League One team next season.
Yeah, I think the issue just seems that probably barring Wigan and Blackpool, teams around you just seems to be finding results.
I
And
think Huddersfield are finding results. Blackpool and Wigan, obviously, they came head to head against each other over the weekend, and Blackpool came away with a 1-0 victory over them. But then there was QPR who lost 3-0 at home to Coventry, and then Reading managed to take a point from Burnley at Loftus Road. So it's it's bizarre at the moment. I've said in previous episodes that we're going to have to heavily rely on results elsewhere regarding teams around us, and it's getting to that point now where we need to rely on ourselves and pick up as many points as we can. We got 5 cup finals ahead of us now, with Watford away on Wednesday, Stoke at home this Saturday. Mentioning there, just saying there, Watford and Stoke, these are 2 teams that could easily turn us over, within a flash. And Huddersfield, the form they're in, I don't feel confident playing them at the moment. The way that Neil Warnock has managed to turn things around and steered them away of the bottom 3, it just seems like League One is staring right in the face of Cardiff City right now.
I think Reading get a decent enough point at home. They also put up the most tin pot. I don't know if you see it, but they also put up the most tin pot tweet I've ever seen out of any club ever.
Is this the one regarding the record number of points in the Championship?
Yeah, right.
Oh, ridiculous!
Like you're in the bottom 3. You're in a scrap for your lives, and you're celebrating the fact that Burnley, the absolute champions elect that are going to be playing in the Premier League next season, can't topple your 106 point tally. They can only match it. Like, the utter levels is actually unspeakable. If I'm a Reading fan at that point, I'm out in the garden burning the shirt, Googling closest football clubs to me and supporting whoever the fuck is close to them, Staines or something down in the fucking
Staines
Isthman
Town,
League.
yeah, down in the Isthman League, yeah.
Be playing fucking hashtag United next season, but it's better than fucking Reading.
Well, I see they got promoted, so maybe not. I don't know.
Hashtag are in that is, or whatever the fuck they're in now. But yeah, they're
I've
on
seen
the
they've
march
gone
up.
up though.
It that team triggers everyone. By the way, I know we're off on a tangent here, but the the way that they trigger teams that down at that level is fantastic. But yeah, it's obviously it's an absolute dogfight, and you just hope that Cardiff have a performance level. And we've said so many times, you put in the performance against Bristol, and we've seen it sporadically throughout the season, and then we say, right, that's the benchmark now, and then we don't see it for another 3 or 4 weeks, and then you'll come out with another good performance. So I still think there's one of those in there. You probably hope it comes against Huddersfield. You've obviously got the game against Rotherham. That you're in a fantastic position, and the game should never have been never been restarted. The game should have been restarted at 1-0 and play it out. It should have been picked up where it was postponed. So you've obviously got those two. I think those two are massive, and like you said, you've just got to really hope that the likes of Reading and don't go on a run. I still think QPR are in real trouble. I know that they've picked up a few points here and there since we were kind of saying they were on that absolute free fall, but I just don't fancy them to pick up many more points to the end of the season. And there's going to be some more teams that come back into it. It's so tight. I mean, I was looking at the playoffs the other day after the results and kind of looking at where everyone stood, and kind of noticed that all the way down to kind of Watford, there's only about like 4 points in it, so it's super tight
Yeah,
all
it
the way
is
through.
really tight, and
So
it's like it's down to fine margins, and it with Cardiff City, it's down to individual performances as well. Mark McGuinness has been like I said, Mark McGuinness is a player that should never have been loaned out in the first place. The first 6 months was shipped out to Sheffield Wednesday the first 6 months over the likes of Jack Simpson, over the likes of Curtis Nelson, who are players that are nowhere near good enough to play for the football club. Like Jack Simpson did not warrant a start in that team this past Saturday. Regardless, I don't know what he's done to warrant a place in that first team side. And then there's like the likes of Andy Renomata, who I praised so highly this season. Who I thought why is he not starting over the likes of why is he not starting over the likes of Ryan Winter? Why is he not starting over the likes of Joe Rules? Like, I love Joe Rules with all my heart, but I feel that Renomata has been more effective this season. Like, he put in a brilliant performance against Leeds in the FA Cup against the Premier League side. This is an individual that should be starting week in, week out. Romain Sawyers has been the player that we expected to be when Lamucci came in, and again, like that's what, February, that all of a sudden that we're getting the best out of Romain Sawyers, and we're not. It's I don't know if it's the case. Sabri Lamucci knows the team better than I do, but there's certain players that are getting into that first 11 that just befounds me completely. I don't understand why Jack Simpson should be played as a left wing back. It makes absolutely no sense to me. He should be nothing less than a left-sided centre back. Should not be played elsewhere, regardless. Our central midfielders should be Joe Rules and Romain Sawyers, regardless. Sorry, Wintle and Sawyers. Like I said, I have a lot of love for Joe Rules, but I feel that Wintle and Sawyers together have been more effective than any other central midfielder we've had at the club this season. And then going forward, you have Jaden Philogene. Going forward, you have Kaba, and if I'm honest, I put Wickham in there as well, courtesy of the performances he put in against the likes of Blackpool and how effective he has been. If we take the whole balloon situation out of the equation, Connor Wickham has been more effective than the likes of Mark Harris. He's been more effective than the likes of Keona Tete. I don't understand the whole rotation behind it. We've got a number of fixtures left to play this season. We've got to be playing our best 11 going into this final stretch of the season. This is crunch time now, because I know that we've spoken, back in September and October, where I've expressed that, oh yeah, the team will click eventually. I do feel now that the team has clicked. I feel that I have a strong idea of what our strong 11 is, and this is what Lamucci has got to stick with, regardless whether or not fatigue comes into play. This is now down to whether or not we are a championship team next season. I'm sorry, I completely disagree with this idea of that. Oh, Romain Sawyers is suffering match tiredness. He needs to be rested for this Saturday. Bullshit, bollocks to it. No, I can't have that.
no, I don't subscribe to this as well. Like this whole you can't you train whatever, you train in
This
the
is it.
morning,
You
train in the
train 4 or
afternoon,
5 times a week.
and then
You're on
you
stupid amounts of money. You should be able to play week in, week out.
just I can't get my head around it whatsoever. There's either a level of unprofessionalism from the player, or there's a lack of trust there from the manager that doesn't trust that player to go and perform over 180 minutes in the space of 2 weeks. You can change your profession if you want. You can get yourself down, you know, get yourself down in any other full time job where you're working 35 hours a week and you get an hour's break, and you can find out very, very quickly that the lifestyle you're living is an easy
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Take
But
my fucking job. Go on,
like
do it.
there's
Yeah.
there's obviously there's pressure, and that these days the clubs obviously have sports science and nutritionists, and they'll have a load of data that goes into that. But I look at the likes of Callum McGregor, Cameron Carter Vickers, these boys that have barely missed a beat. Cameron Carter Vickers obviously missing this weekend, but that was due to the monstrosity of a pitch we were playing on. But Callum McGregor, week in, week out, this boy doesn't miss a beat. The guy is there every game we play, no matter what, whether we're playing two a week, whether
Yeah.
we're playing in the Champions League, League Cups, whatever, he's there. So I don't subscribe to this. He needs
This
to
is
be
what I don't
rested.
get because Liam, like the Celtic lineup is a perfect example. Like the number of players that you see in that first 11 week in, week out. You see the likes of Kyogo, you see the likes of McGregor, you see the likes of Starfelt, you see Joe Hart in goal. Like I don't understand this whole agenda behind resting players.
There's rotation is a part of modern day football, but what you need to be rotating in is people that are going to be competitive, and there can't be a huge drop off. I'm sure. Like I haven't watched a lot of Championship football, but I guarantee that if we go through and we look at Burnley's lineup, we look at Sheffield United, Luton's, Middlesbrough, Millwall's, and whoever else is occupying the last six spot at the moment, I think Blackburn, I guarantee you they're not making four or five changes every single week. They have a
Yeah,
spine that they trust, and then maybe there's some rotation. Maybe it is, but normally it's like the wingers, and they'll rotate. The fullbacks maybe be a bit because of the amount of you know work that goes into the modern fullback position. But in this day and age, with the way that people look after their bodies, with the way that they know how to put stuff into it, and especially going into this now, look, if you were 10th, 11th in the season's petering out, sure, give him a rest, rotate him, protect him, make sure he goes off and has a good break, has a good preseason, and comes back fresh. But like you said, you're in a dogfight. You've 5 games to save your season. This
yeah,
guy needs to be getting himself in. Right, if he's going to slack off, he slacks off in training, and he makes sure that he's in absolute peak physical condition coming into the match day, because
yeah.
that's when it counts. And you look at the likes of, I know that we're talking about astronomical levels between the two players I'm about to talk, so look at Ledley King, right, back in the day, right, would do absolutely no on the ball work, right, would be on an exercise bike getting himself in peak condition so he could play on a weekend, and would perform. So whatever needs to be done, whatever bubble wrap or conditioning or individual training needs to be done, these players need to be put in a position where they're fighting fit and ready to go out and to battle for the badge, because anyone, you can't carry anyone. You know, there
Yeah.
isn't any passengers now. Everyone needs to be fighting, pulling together, and and if there is these players, I'm a little bit tired, then I think that says more about the player, and how much commitment they have to the football club, and whether or not their heart and desires in it. Because when you're down there, you need players to be brave.
This is
But
it,
when
mate.
you're
Yeah.
battling, you need that desire and that passion. It isn't going to be easy. And anyone that comes to Cardiff is going to fancy their chances because of their league position. They're going to come there confident. So you need to dig in. You're going to need to battle,
Yeah.
and you need people that are up for the fight, not
This
people
is
that go,
it.
"Oh, I'm a bit jaded this week. Can I have the week off?"
This is it. And the fact that and I hold Sabri Lamouche in such high regard, but the fact that he came out and praised the performance that we put in against Sheffield United was again dumbfounding. Like we've just lost by 4 goals to 1. Like, all those 4 goals that we conceded were easily avoidable. Completely schoolboy defending errors. Absolutely ridiculous. And the fact that he stuck up for that. I mean, yeah, stick up for the team for the first half performance. Yeah, we were competitive. We caused problems against them. This is a team that were second in the championship fighting for automatic promotion. By all means, yeah. Praise the team for that. But I don't know how you can take that hand in hand with the second half performance we put in and the 3 goals we conceded. Like, I don't understand it. But the fact that he's taken in account that we hit the crossbar, and that was really the only highlight we had in that second half, and to praise the team and then to slate the team a week prior, losing at home to Sunderland, completely justified by all means. But like, where does he set the standard as well? Like, this is the thing. Like, is everyone in this together? Is everyone really in this dogfight together, in the sense that we are in the shit right now and we have 5 cup finals ahead of us and we've got to perform the way we did those first 45 minutes of Bramall Lane? It's, again, like, I don't know what to expect now as a Cardiff City fan. I don't know what Lamucci's first 11 is going to be this Wednesday. I don't know what his mental approach is going to be for the next 5 games. I mean, we've lost Callum Robinson for the rest of the season now due to a hamstring injury. The only way I look at it now is that if he doesn't start Wickham and Cabba up front together, we're in fucking big shit.
Yeah, it's going to certainly be an interesting, an interesting game on Wednesday to see. Obviously, where he sits. I mean, you can understand him a wee bit, after coming out and sort of berating the team. He probably doesn't want to do that 2 weeks in a row and doesn't want to shatter, whatever little confidence is in the team. But yeah, certainly the second half was below par, especially when
it's brutal, mate. Absolutely brutal.
You've set the standard in the first half, been competitive. Obviously, everyone expects a little bit of a drop off because of the energy and that's been spent in the first half. But like you said, too easy, too soft. The goals that went in were just weak and poor, and ultimately you defend like that against anyone in the Championship, you're going to find it very hard to pick up 3 points.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact that the only thing that really accommodates us right now is that with the 6-point deduction that Reading got, otherwise we'd be in big shit right now.
Yeah.
We'd be comfortably in that bottom 3 along with the likes of Blackpool and Wigan. And even like having that in the back of in the back of my mind, like, makes me feel like, Jesus Christ, we are very lucky to be where we are right now. Mental, mate. And again, like, individual performances from top performers that, like I said, I've highly regarded this season, like the likes of Mark McGuinness, who was up for the 3rd goal, Ryan Alsop as well, who, not just myself, has come under heavy criticism amongst the Cardiff faithful with the way, the performances he's put in, since the turn of the year, and making a lot of us think, like, well, do we need to look in the goalkeeping department this summer because he's not convincing? And then, there's a lot of fans that are saying, well, I think it's time that Jack Anick gets a run of games. But then we saw him away against Preston, who got himself sent off after a stupid red card. And this is the thing, like, that's just adding to a flurry of problems that we have in the side right now. Andy Renamotta, dire in that game against Sheffield United. Absolutely dire. Ryan Wintle went missing. Apart from one shot he had in the first half, went missing in that game. And then Jack Simpson, this is a guy who couldn't even get a foot in at Rangers, couldn't get a foot in at Bournemouth, and he's starting against an automatic promotion chasing side. Like, makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. The fact that he's getting looking over the likes of Joel Bagan, or I know Callum O'Dowda has struggled for fitness as of late, but the fact that Joel Bagan is being completely overlooked. This is a guy that was, thriving under Steve Morrison last season, came into the side, he scored 2 goals in his first 3 starts, and is not even getting on the bench. And then, it's like I said, like the list goes on with the number of issues and questions that I have with this club right now. It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever, and rightfully so. We're staying right in the face of relegation, and I've said this a few weeks prior, maybe a few months prior to this episode, that this is the sort of club that Vincent Tan deserves to own. We saw the boys in green this past weekend, and you're away to Kilmarnock on a top-notch quality playing pitch, as you stated yourself, looking at the game, you had the job done in the first half. You came away with a victory, 4-1, courtesy of an early goal from Kyogo, followed up by a Maeda goal 4 minutes later, and then a brace from Matt O'Reilly. Would you like to take us through what took place during that game, Mayhem?
What took place is I was staring at an absolute fucking abomination of a pitch, and hopefully Kilmarnock go down, and every team in that Premiership has an opportunity then to vote plastic pitches away, because what an absolute travesty that thing is.
It's mental how clubs at this level get away with it.
There's no excuse, right? I don't give a shit if the likes of St Johnstone and St Mirren can produce a playing surface, right? Kilmarnock can as well. Is it going to be, cut beautifully and absolute slick? No. Is it going to be a little bit more work for the ground staff? Yes. But that absolute abomination needs to be ripped up and burnt, and we need to never see it again. The fact that we've had to rest players because they're not comfortable to play on that pitch tells you everything you need to know about it. But anyway, there was obviously big eyes. Jurgen Klinsmann was down to look at O as well, and so there was eyes were on us. Obviously, Rangers.
Jurgen Klinsmann was there to look at O.
Yeah, he's the South Korea manager.
Is he? Is he really?
Yeah.
Is that where Jurgen Klinsmann has ended up? Fucking hell.
So he was over to watch Son in Tottenham, and then he's come up the way to.
Yeah. Well, we'll get onto that soon, don't
But so there's always a worry when you go to this place. If you come away with 3 points and you come away with no serious injuries or anything like that, then it's absolute top marks, and that was it. And like you said, Derek McInnes we've come up against him multiple times. Obviously, we played Kilmarnock in the semi-final, and it was a competitive game up until the point when Yakamaka scored his last goal for us, and then flew away to America. So I think we was expecting a hard game. Didn't expect him to set up a 2 in the middle, and they never really got to grips with us. The boy that plays, I think it was something Murray that was playing on the left for Kilmarnock, had an absolute shit show. Was hooked halfway, 30 minutes into the first half. He ended up being hooked. He had an absolute monstrosity, but Celtic were at it, and we had to be. Like I said, Derek McInnes' teams are renowned for being in your face. Kilmarnock actually have a very good home record. They have an absolutely abysmal away record. They've actually a decent home record, so we knew that. We thought it was going to be a competitive game. They're going to be in our faces, and the boy that was playing down the left of Kilmarnock, he's kind of up the pitch for the first goal, and Alistair Johnson's pressuring him quite well. Plays a slack pass back, and Kyo goes onto it in a flash. It skips around the the defender gets into the box and cuts back, and I'm screaming at that point for him to just lay it off. But this is why the guy's bagged nearly 30 goals this season in all comps. He just cuts back,
Just let
composes
Kyogo
himself,
do Kyogo things, mate. Like,
cuts back, composes himself, left foot bang, and we get the early goal, and that settles everyone down. And then, like you said, 4 minutes later, some really good interplay, and we get Alistair Johnson to the byline, clips the ball over Maeda, not what you'd call the most dominant aerial player, but he's up at the back stick, heads the ball back from where it comes from, 2-0. And as soon as you get the second goal, things become comfortable. Again, they're not getting to grips with us in midfield. A couple of some good interplay. Greg Taylor slots into Matt O'Reilly. Calm as you like, Seifert in the bottom corner, 3-0 in the space of whatever it was, like 18 minutes. And that's it, job done there and then. And then we get a penalty. The ball gets played into Greg Taylor. Guy clatters into him. Kyogo steps up, hits the post. And you just think, God, if that goes in the bottom corner, the game's dead there. But you're giving them a lifeline. But luckily enough, a few minutes later, Matt O'Reilly again. It comes out to this fella. I think it's Murray. He had an absolute mare. God love him. It comes out. He's on the edge of the box. It's an easy clearance away. He slices it back in. The ball then gets, as a poor header out from the Kilmarnock player, falls to Matt O'Reilly. Can take 2 touches, sets himself, bangs it in the top corner, 4-0, and that's it on easy street. And then obviously coming towards the end of the half, we were a little bit slack. Callum McGregor just gets muscled off the ball. They get a couple of Kobayashi was playing. It was Starfelt and Kobayashi at the back. And there's a few blocks. Hart's kind of scrambling, and in the end, and gives Donnelly the kind of steps around Hart and fires it in 4-1 to give them the smallest lifeline that we could have given them. But if we'd have been sort of ruthless, they wouldn't have got that. Second half, there wasn't much to write home about. It wasn't a great spectacle. The referee, I felt, was just giving them everything. I don't know if it was this sympathy kind of feeling that he didn't want to be there watching Kilmarnock get absolutely decimated. But yeah, a few people that Haksabanovic had a start and didn't really do a lot. He seems like a real impact player. Haxa comes off the bench and does stuff, but when he starts, this was his first start since November, and again he was a little bit quiet. But it was nice for a few of the substitutes. Rocco Vata got on. Ben Summers, another youngster of ours, got on to make his Celtic debut at the age of 18. He was able to take off. Well, he got Rocco Vata looked decent when he come on. He had a 20-minute spell, looked all right.
Because that was his third appearance, I believe, in the Celtic first team side.
Yeah, and look, he does look a talent. But, Ben Summers is 18. It was his debut. He only got 4, 5, sort of 6, 7, 8 minutes. So difficult to judge anyone. But obviously, the fact that they're getting these, means that Ange's seen something. I mean, Rocco Vata is someone that we've heard a lot about from the B team.
Yeah.
So it's nice to see him getting through, especially with the players that we have lost, the likes of Ben Doak and Dembele that said he didn't get enough sort of run at, the Hadji or Hedgie, the boy that went to Leeds.
Yeah.
So we've lost some players that have gone on to the things. Obviously, the Ben Doak one's the one that's probably the most.
I think that's probably the biggest.
Yeah.
He was noticeable loss in terms of upcoming prospects within the Celtic ranks.
Yeah, like he was well renowned across Europe, and obviously Liverpool jumped early, and he decided to go and play reserve football. But good luck to him.
Beast on FM, by the way. But...
So it's nice to see these players, getting a pathway in, and being shown that there is a route to the first team. Rocco Vata only has to look at Leo Labada, that's only a few years younger than him, and when Leo Labada come in, he was 19 years old, and Rocco Vata will be getting there pretty soon. So just because you're 18, 19, if you're good enough, and just going to play you. So yeah, look, that was a nice aspect. Like I said, the second half, come on, and we made a few more changes and changed it around, and the game just kind of I felt like Celtic kind of took their foot off the gas and everything was a little bit, just be careful where you step and how much you put in because, we don't want to get a stupid injury when we're 4-1 up and coasting. And Kilmarnock had a few chances. Joe Hart made a decent save, a point blank range from a header that could have reduced the arrears, and their striker Vassell had like a header that was flicked over. But all in all, like you said, it was a really good first half performance. An off the boil second half performance. I think a lot of that was in their heads that they get through this game. They've Motherwell at home. Come this coming week. We're now 7 points off the title. So if we beat Motherwell, we're 4 points off the title, and then obviously with the semi final looming as well. So everybody's kind of competing, but I think they also have one mind on that we're at a place that with our players, the likes of Christopher Ayer and that have gone there and have picked up, Jose Simonovic as well back in the day, picked up poor injuries here because of the pitch. So I think it played to be part in it, but yeah, it was nice to kind of see the squad depth shine. I think Starfelt and Kobayashi were grand.
Yeah,
Alistair
good
Johnston,
performances.
yeah, Kobayashi again. It's only his second start. I'm sure he's glad to get the win under his belt because his only other one was our loss at St Mirren. So I'm sure he's glad to rub that out as his one start is our one loss. So um, he's obviously expunged that, and he's not been able to keep a clean sheet, but defended grand for the most part. A few sort of wayward moments, but he certainly looks more comfortable on the left side playing the ball out with him being left-footed. Sometimes I think Cole can be a little bit flat-footed, a little bit one-footed, and that's when maybe where he gets himself into a few strange positions and a few awkward moments when he's on that left side. But when Cameron Carter-Vickers is available and wants to play and isn't scared of and playing on an absolute monstrosity, then he's always going to come in. He is the signature centre back that we have, and he'll definitely be back next week. It was made very clear by Ange that there's no injury problems. The likes of Jota and start Cameron Carter-Vickers were being rested because of the pitch, so they'll be back. For our home game against Motherwell on the weekend. And like I said, if we win that, it's 4 points, and then we go into the split and we can wrap this up pretty quickly. And just
Yeah,
second title in 2 years. And then the semi final is upon us, and get through that, and we're on again for a treble. So
this is it, mate. Like it feels like you're sort of ticking off the weeks now, ticking off the fixtures now. Like you said, you go to Motherwell next week, take 3 points there. You got the semi-final, which obviously don't want to dictate any any result just of yet, but it's just a strong sense of the next 2 or 3 weeks, strong idea as to where Celtic what they'll finish off with come the end of the season.
yeah, look, I mean, Motherwell's at home next week, and we've won every single home game we played this season, so we'll go into that strong favourites. Hopefully, again, we can give ourselves a little bit of a cushion and look towards the semi-final. But it also the pressure ramps up on Rangers as well. They go away to Aberdeen. Aberdeen are flying at the moment. I think they've won their last 5 or 6 games. Duke's in fantastic form for them.
Oh wow, that
Um,
good form.
yeah, they're flying at the moment. They're third in the league, and obviously,
Fucking hell,
with
they've
Hibs,
jumped up.
yeah, with Hibs beating Hearts at the weekend as well in the Edinburgh Derby, that gives them a nice cushion. But they'll be full of confidence going into that. They're Salah, Patodri, and it'll be a tough game for Rangers to go there.
Wait, Hibs beat Hearts this weekend.
Yeah,
Why do I feel that got no publicity whatsoever? That really went under the radar.
I think was it. I think they were I want to say they were maybe the early game on Saturday. Um, maybe not. But it may have been on Sunday. But Kevin
Oh, maybe
Nesbitt's
Sheffield United's onslaught fucking overlapped that then, perhaps. I don't know, but
yeah, Kevin Nesbitt with the winner for the good guys in Edinburgh.
oh, go on,
Um,
Big Kev.
so yeah, it was obviously a good weekend for Aberdeen, and they'll be confident. Obviously, they lost Graham Shinney on Friday night. They beat Ross County 1-0, but Graham Shinney got sent off. It was a red card. It was a VAR decision. It just highlights again how shit the refs are in Scotland that it wasn't given as a red card.
I
First and
I was
foremost.
actually going to mention because Derek McKenna's made the headlines as well with a particular decision that he was very unhappy about.
He,
Um,
he needed something to say instead of just saying that they got shipped
yeah,
and beat in 20 minutes. I've seen that. Is it Dermot Gallagher that does the ref watch
yeah,
on
Dermot
Sky
Gallagher,
Sports? So
yeah.
he said it was a yellow card, and I think that's case closed. To be honest, um, it was never a red card, but he needs something to talk about, and instead of just saying that we're shit and the only reason that they're not bottom of the league is because Ross County is shitter at the moment. So yeah, it'll be a good run in. Obviously, this is the last game before the split, so Livingston are playing Hibs, and that has big consequences to who gets into the top six. Winner takes a top six spot, and then the split comes, and get real interesting. The relegation battle is heating up. Dundee United managed to pick up a win over Motherwell, and that lifts them out of the drop zone. Jim Goodwin finally getting last week. He's waited ages for a win. He got one last week, and then his second one comes along the week after. So I think Dundee United are. I like Dundee United. I think they're good for Scottish football. I like having them in the league. So hopefully um, they come good and they survive. And we'll get to kind of break down and see the season. It looks like St Mirren are going to finish in the top six, which is a fantastic achievement for them.
Yeah,
Um,
huge.
really, really big season from. And Hearts are in obviously really, really poor form, but they'll be in the top six as well. So we'll get probably one more Edinburgh derby if Hibs can get over the line against Livingston this season. So plenty of stuff to be looking forward to. And obviously post split, I imagine we'll play them a little bit later in because they said I don't think they'll put us first in the split because it's just off the semi final, and then they won't put us second because there would be the potential that we could win the league at Ibrox. So when we go there, we're all probably already be crowned champions, and it'll be a dead rubber. And there'll be all this stupid shit about a guard of honor and all this bollocks that floats around and all this crap. But yeah, it's just about getting ourselves right for the semi-final, getting across the line, and then you know you want to win the league by as many points as possible. But once you're champions, and is what it is, we can go to Ibrox and be a little bit more relaxed. Obviously, those games carry huge intensity and massive importance, no matter when you're playing them. But it won't carry the same nerves and the same intensity that obviously the one there at Selwood Park did um, last week, because we'll already have the job done. So the semi final will be big. That's what their season rests on now. Can they get a Scottish Cup? If they don't, I struggle. I struggle to see how Michael Beale keeps his job, because yes, they've improved. You could say they've improved. That they've won you know, a lot of games under Michael Beale since he's come in, but ultimately he hasn't closed the gap. He's had now 3 opportunities to beat us. Played us at Ibrox, played us at Hampden, played us at Celtic Park, and he's lost 2 of those, drew one of them, so he hasn't beat us. So I think if we beat him in the semi-final, there'll be questions asked whether or not this is the person to take him forward. And they've big problems as well. The chat is that Morelos has signed a pre-contract elsewhere. They're still scampering to try and get Ryan Jack re-signed because he's out of contract in the summer. But I don't know what the draw is. if you're in Scotland, really the draw is, well, right, you'll win the league and you'll win, you'll be winning doubles and then be getting Champions League football. And next season, by the looks of things, they'll have to battle their way into the group stage again. They got into the group stage to get the lowest points total ever in the
Well, this is
Champions
the
League.
thing. I mean, they got to be, they've attracted the likes of like Todd Cantwell caliber sort of
He's look. I'm all for their pain. I absolutely inject it
I
into
think
my
we all
veins.
are, mate.
But like the standards at that club have slipped, unbelievably low. They get past St Mirren and Cantwell gets a goal at some point, and he's doing the gritty. I mean,
Fuck
you're
off! Did he do the gritty
yeah. I mean,
on the weekend?
you're 12 points behind your biggest rivals. You've just lost a derby the week before, and you've struggled at home to get. You've conceded 2 goals, St Mirren, and really struggled to get past them, and you've hit a gritty. Um, Sam, and they were lapping it up, mate. They were loving it. So, yeah, the standards at that football club are absolutely in the
Did the
bin.
gritty against St Mirren?
But at that point, sorry, I did see a tweet. Sorry, that they at that point when he was gritty, and they had reduced the gap to 9 points. Subsequently, 12 points went back to on Sunday. But I can't imagine, you know, what kind of reaction.
Hit the fucking gritty against St Mirren.
I can't imagine what kind of reaction there would be, if Celtic were 12 points behind Rangers, and one of our players think it was okay to get a gritty out for scraping past St Mirren. But it's it is what it is. We get ourselves in the right place and go and perform as we can against Motherwell and in the semi-final, and we set ourselves up for another magical season. Winning trebles has become synonymous with Celtic over the past few years, so hopefully we can go and add another one. My only worry is that once we do that, I think we're getting very close to Ange Postecoglou thinking, what more can I do in Scotland if he wins every domestic trophy and he does a treble? I think he probably wants to have one more crack at the Champions League,
Yeah,
and
that's
then
it. Yeah.
and then the worry becomes, how much longer before one of these clubs that he's linked with really wants to take a punt on him.
Well, I think if anything, I think he'd like a crack at the Champions League, and hypothetically, if you do get a big team in your group, which you most inevitably will.
Well,
So
it's not.
the likes of like Real Madrid or Barcelona.
It's not that group though, is it? It's that stupid league system next season. So you have
Oh, it
8 games.
is, yeah. Okay, yeah. So you come up against the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, or Bayern Munich, or Man City, and Kyogo puts the ball in the back of the net, and then you got Ange on the touchline. Like, I think that's really what he's got to see his Celtic career out with.
Yeah, but we'll see. Obviously, yeah, the worry is that the Tottenham job has still not been filled, and there doesn't seem to be much chatter about that. And we know that, well, the rumours are that they were interested. So that's a worry. Hopefully, they can appoint someone pretty swiftly. Get
Yeah.
Jurgen Klinsmann in,
Yeah.
and hopefully, yeah, eventually, he's come and revolutionised how we play football, and filling his boots will be impossible. You're never going to get another manager like him, but we just need to make sure that we have that succession in mind, because I think we just need to enjoy it, because I think he stays for next season to have a crack at the Champions League, and then I think more likely than not, if he goes on to win his third league title in a row, he probably sees it as, right, I'm at the ceiling here. He's got, the rumours are he's got a decent budget this summer. I think the rumours are it's like 22 million. So
It's a
it'd be
good budget.
be interesting to go and see what he brings in, and who he moves on, and how he tries to take the squad to the next level, and
Can I
then
Hitman for fucking Todd Cantwell?
and then we'll see. But look, we're just in absolute Aussie paradise, aren't we? Really, from where we were before he come into where we are now. He's going to be leaving the club in such an incredible position, and
Yeah.
we just need to thank him for all his efforts. It's been fantastic, and hopefully, we've still got another year of watching the fantastic football that he sprung to the Celtic Park, and we can see out the season with a magical treble. And I said, yeah, go have a big crack at the big one again next season, and enjoy the journey.
Proper skits can.
But it's and like you said, it's fantastic at the moment. For we're looking at our, whatever it is, I think it's our 12th title in 11 seasons. So we just got to keep doing what we're doing, and we'll be crowned.
I don't know if it's just me, but is there a strong sense that Man City are really going to pit Arsenal to the title this season?
Look, if we even have any long term listeners,
You'd be surprised.
we spoke about this, didn't we? We said that this is a young team, and at some point they will have a tough period, which all young teams do. It's not easy to get across the line and win that synonymous first one since insert year here. So it was going to be difficult for them to continue to just steamroller through clubs, and they obviously had the setback at Anfield, and then
Setback this past weekend.
a London derby that
Yep.
again they were in full control of. Give up obviously a goal, and West Ham get back into the game, and then I mean the penalty. It's never a penalty.
It's weird, isn't it?
He's throwing.
Paqueta looks
already.
For it.
Yeah, he's throwing himself to the
ground. As soon as Gabriel, because it's a very bizarre challenge he goes to make, because he basically like knee slides him, doesn't he?
He's already like, if I haven't dissected it, but you can absolutely guarantee that by the time he makes contact, Paqueta is already in that fall in motion. He hasn't took contact and gone down. He's already in that motion. And not to pigeonhole every South American player, but they're a little bit more renowned for being a little bit more theatrical, shall we say.
Yeah.
And I just think, yes, there's contact, and for that reason, VAR were never going to overrule it, because we get into this whole grey area of not clear and obvious. But for me, it's simulation, and he's dived, and then it's the same one where, like, where someone like kicks their foot out for contact. Like, this guy has delayed his step, he's leaving his legs there and throwing himself, knowing that contact is coming. And I think he's brought one. The refs fell for it, and ultimately West Ham have benefited massively. It's a huge point from, probably not one that they expected to pick up when they're kind of notching up where they're going to get their points to survive this season. And they've got a big helping hand from the ref. But
it's a weird foul by Gabriel as well. It's always almost in the sense of this, as if his legs leave the ground, and as he's in midair, he's managed to pull both legs back from making contact with Paqueta, basically knee slide into him, and follow through, just from the impact of going to make an attempt to clearing the ball out from Paqueta, and Paqueta's, got a strong sense of it and has made the most of it.
Yeah, but I think it's naive, isn't it? To make that kind of decision in the box when the game is so precarious and it's hanging in the balance. To make that kind of decision and give the ref a decision to make is naive. And then, but they still had plenty of time to afflict on for the last little bit of the game. And I think it was Jamie Carragher that was commentating, and he said that even after the penalty, Arsenal still had a lot of time to go and win that football match, and they didn't do it. So they've left themselves in. They need to go to the Etihad and win that, and then they need to win at the Etihad. Otherwise, I think it'll be really, really difficult. Obviously they're up against probably the poorest team at the moment in the Premier League on Friday night against Southampton. I don't see there being any problems there because Southampton have been diabolical this season, so I expect them to get back to winning ways. But City are just starting to get on this run, and this is something that we said before. That
Yeah,
this is what United used to do all the time. They just used to reel teams in. Back in that Sir
this is
Alex
it.
Ferguson era, they used to reel
It's
teams in,
chasing teams down.
and
And I was speaking to Kian earlier about it, and City have got that same sense as United had a few years back. They love chasing teams down. We've seen it in the past when they chased down United, and we had you know, the Aguero last day, Finanza. We had it when they chased down Liverpool that season. Like, this is what City love to do, and this is set up for them perfectly, where Arsenal are in unfamiliar territory, and Arsenal have been in this position, but in a different perspective, where they're chasing down the top four, where they're trying to see it out, and then they fall at the final hurdle. And this is at a much, much bigger spectacle now, where they're closing the title, and like you said, falling short and giving up 2-goal leads as they have done against Liverpool and West Ham, and are at that point now where it's a matter of fine margins whether they come away with 3 points or not, whereas City are taking full advantage of the situation.
yeah, they've clicked. And obviously we see them take apart Bayern Munich in the Champions League. Absolutely, an absolute clinic against them, and they're just just keep rolling out results. The Leicester game was dead within the first half. Southampton they dealt with pretty promptly, so that they're getting on this momentum train, and they're reeling teams in, and it'll be interesting to hopefully Arsenal win on Friday and they take it to the Etihad, because I just worry that if they stumble at home against Southampton and then City, get in front of them. And I know that once they won at the Emirates, they got level and all this. But if City at this point of the season catch them, or even have the Etihad game to go in front of them, obviously at the moment they're 4 behind of the game in hand. But if that Etihad game becomes them for City to actually physically take the lead, then I just think that as a mentality thing will be difficult for Arsenal
Yeah.
to recover from. So look, they've got Southampton. They can ramp the pressure back up to 7 points and put it all on City and see how they perform on the weekend. But City and Pep and so many of those players have been here, done it. They know what's expected of them.
Yeah.
They know the pressures. They're absolute elite players. Where maybe Arsenal players have the potential to be fantastic players. The likes of Martinelli and Saka and these people that are growing into becoming world-renowned superstars and going up to that elite level, but haven't been there before. And no matter, Gary Neville said it perfectly after the United game, and when he said, "Look, no matter what happens, it's been a fantastic season for Arsenal, and it will be." But when
Yeah,
they
of
look back
course.
on it retrospectively, but I think there'll be a lot of pain in the
They
Arsenal
will.
support and the Arsenal camp
Yeah, of course.
if they let slip the lead that they've had.
Yeah, in a lot of ways as well, because It's been a very long time that Arsenal have been this close to winning the Premier League, and we've seen it throughout the years of how the Arsenal faithful have seen themselves and Arsenal as that force that should be competing for the Premier League title year in, year out. And the fact that they've, done so well this season and got so far to hold off the likes of City and the likes of Man United and Arsenal, whoever you want to put in that perspective. I mean, you can't really say the likes of Chelsea and Liverpool because they haven't been as competitive as we've seen in previous years. But this has been the best opportunity for another team other than City to win the Premier League, and this is the best Arsenal team we've seen in over a decade, essentially.
They need to get it done if they're gonna win it. That it needs, because next year, everyone's gonna go again. Everyone's gonna invest. United looks stronger. Chelsea will not be in 11th position.
Yeah, you said
next
last
season.
week Chelsea will be back. City, I strongly believe at the moment, have the best. Like, if you look at their first team 11, they've got the best player in pretty much every position.
Yeah,
in the Premier League and arguably in the world.
when it clicks and when they're on and when they're flying, then they're difficult to beat, and
Yeah,
obviously they're difficult to stop. And we see that, like I said, with the Bayern Munich result, more as a statement victory
yeah,
rather than anything that they've done in the Premier League, um, in the Champions League. So they need to find something. They need to dig deep. Southampton obviously will be fighting for their lives, but they're bang out of form. That they look so all over the place, really. So I thoroughly expect the likes of Saka and Jesus and Odegaard to have absolute world of a time come Friday night and restore the gap, and then all eyes go on to City. Can they ramp it up? Arsenal still need to play Chelsea as well. Chelsea have nothing left. They're basically out of the Champions League. Real Madrid are going to see to that. So them going to the Emirates is their season. Can they put a dent in Arsenal's season to stop them from winning the title? So every game that Arsenal are going into now, even if it looks pretty, if it isn't against someone scrapping for their lives or fighting for Europe, everyone's still going to want to have an impact on
yeah.
the title race. And Chelsea will be heading to the Emirates when they go there, thoroughly looking to.
And you'd heavily fancy Arsenal over Chelsea right now as well.
Oh, 100%. But
Especially like with the decision to bring back Frank Lampard, and then
yeah,
for the rut they've been in to continue over the weekend after losing 2-1 at home to Brighton.
but that's what I mean. Like they've got nothing much going for them at the moment, but they will thoroughly want to go and ruin their London rival season. And Frank Lampard will, as a obviously a proper Chelsea man, I'm sure he'll have them up for it. So that won't be an easy game, even though they're 11th. And it hasn't worked at all. On their day, that you look at the players that they have in their squad, they can produce a performance that goes out and takes points off of Arsenal as well. So they do have a tricky time of it. I think we kind of highlighted this spell of where they were playing Liverpool, and then they were playing Chelsea, and then they were playing City, and we were seeing we'll see where they are after that. And that they're in a difficult moment, but it'll be interesting to see how Arteta sort of rallies them and gets them back, because they need to now go on their own little run and take at least that 4-point gap into the game at the Etihad.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I believe it's because Arsenal play Southampton Friday. City don't play this weekend, actually. I think their next game is the game against Arsenal next Wednesday.
It must be that they in the FA
because
Cup, aren't
Brighton
they?
have got the FA Cup game, haven't they? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right. Well, look, then again, that even that ramps up Friday night is even more important. You can extend that out to 7 points, and City have got to fester on the fact that they're 7 points behind again with 2 games in hand. Points on the board trumps games in hand any day of the week. So go and post that number, and then see if it can be chased down. But big game from on Friday night.
100%. What are your thoughts on the? Obviously, we talk about Arsenal, City chasing down the title. What are your thoughts in terms of Newcastle and Man United, the two teams that are chasing third and fourth at the moment?
Yeah, well, obviously Newcastle will be thoroughly disappointed with their performance at
Very
Villa
underwhelming
Park.
performance from
Villa are
Newcastle.
flying as well, though. Villa are all of
Yeah,
a sudden
yeah.
bang up there, and Ollie Watkins is in red hot form. Um,
My boy, my boy.
so I think a lot of people expected Newcastle to go and get a result, but it isn't the biggest shock that Villa have turned them over. Big game for Newcastle this week. Tottenham come to St James's Park. If they win that, they go 6 points clear of fifth place and really start to, I think, probably believe that the Champions League is obtainable.
Yep.
And like we said, that catapults them, 3 or 4 years ahead of their project. The caliber of player that they can bring in, and what they could potentially do next season, and the games that they could bring to St James's Park. So yeah, I think it's a great story. Eddie Howe's done a fantastic job there. And you look
And
at the
this
players,
is his first season as well. Like the fact that he's taken Newcastle from mid-table all the way up into that top four bracket is
and and you
mental.
look at who he's playing. Still the likes of Dan Burns, still Joelinton,
Longstaff, yeah, all these
Almiron.
players that we've
You know,
seen, that start week in week out for Newcastle prior to the takeover and Eddie Howe coming in. I think he's done
yeah,
amazingly what the
he
job he's
really
done.
has. A lot of them were there under Bruce, and look like they're going to hit a barn door. So fantastic, a cup final, and really battling hard for Champions League football. So yeah, great story. And I hope they get over the line. United, I think it's difficult. Difficult to judge because in my head, you know, if United aren't in a title race, it isn't a successful season. Just because I have that nostalgia, and obviously growing up with United
Yeah, I'm
being
with you on
so
that.
successful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So it always seems weird when people say they're in third and that'd be a really good season.
Yeah,
Just kind
like
of
in previous seasons where you see them finish like fifth and sixth, especially under the likes of like Jose Mourinho and Van Gaal, and it's like it's
yeah
completely, it's so unfamiliar with us where we're so used with the Fergie era where they were always up there and
yeah.
winning silverware left, right, and centre. It still seems to be very unusual to us, and
But they still seem a long way off. Even when Solskjaer had them finishing second and Mourinho got them in second, it never felt like they were in.
I think during the Solskjaer era, I think that was really when there was that sense of acceptance as to right, this is where United
They, they
really are
haven't
right
felt
now.
like they've been in a title race for a long time now. Ten Hag has come in and he's made some big decisions, and they've been well documented. Um, I think they played well against Forest on Sunday. I mean, saying that, I don't know how Harry Maguire doesn't give away a penalty. Um, I mean, that is as stonewall a penalty
Like,
as you can possibly get. So he's a lucky boy. Um, but I think apart from that, Keylor Navas had a fantastic game for Forest, and obviously still conceded 2 goals. They were pretty sharp, decent. I think Weghorst is maybe a little bit lucky to stay on the pitch as well. He throws a stupid sort of half punch at the defender in the
guy's a
94th minute as
shithouse, isn't
well.
he? Yeah. Did you know that
So
Keylor Navas doesn't actually train with Nottingham Forest? He still lives in Paris and trains with PSG at the moment. He actually flies over purely for the games. Mental.
top antle, but yeah, look, I think Newcastle great story. I think United. it'll be a decent season. You know that they've got silverware. That they look like they're going to secure Champions League, which I mean should be an absolute bare minimum for, and it shouldn't be celebrated in any way, shape, or form the way it is being celebrated by the likes of Gary Neville and this saying it's a fantastic season and all that. I don't subscribe to any of that. It's a decent first season for Ten Hag. It's a building season. He's still finding out about his team. He's still obviously trying to. Anthony, that's the best I've seen him play on Sunday. So he must be such a frustration as a United fan to
And the
watch.
goal he scored was a fucking rebound.
It looks like
Says
there's
a
a
lot.
player. It looks like there's a player there, but just sometimes just makes the wrong decision. So we'll see what business they do. Obviously, they've got the potential takeover and getting the Glazers out looming. Be huge for the club if they can get that done. But all this like people talking about Ten Hag as manager of the year, get in the bin.
No.
Get in the fucking bin.
No,
Manager of the
no,
year
no.
is Mikel Arteta without a shadow of a
100%,
doubt.
yeah,
Even
easily.
if they finish second, he's manager of the year. Eddie Howe's a good shout for it. The De Zerbi at Brighton's done a fantastic job. Uh, your boy at Fulham, they've had a great season. But
Marco Silva, yeah.
but there's absolutely
Thomas
no doubt.
Frank, could you
Yeah,
put Thomas Frank in
yeah.
that frame as
There's
well, yeah?
been some real strong candidates to
Even
be
Roberto De
nominated.
Zerbi as well.
I think he's coming a little bit late. He certainly, if Brighton go on, they're obviously in the semi-final against United. If they go on,
Don't speak too badly about him, otherwise he'll get a bit upset about it. But
um, I think he hasn't been there for the full season. He's definitely come on and took on the job that Graham Potter had started, and he's done fantastically well. And like I said, Brighton are at Wembley. Um, Brighton are at Wembley, and they could go on to make history for their football club. But I think your top three are Arteta, Howe, and probably.
I think we've got to say Marco Silva. I think
Floating
we've
in
got
there.
to say Marco
So it's the
Silva.
same. It's the same with Emery. He just hasn't been there long enough. But again, he's got Villa in a really strong position. So I just don't think there's
Yeah,
anyone that outweigh the football Arsenal played, the consistency that they've had up until obviously a few weeks ago, and what they've produced week in week out, and to be where they are is a fantastic achievement from where they were. So yeah, he would be absolutely 100%
yeah,
manager of the year for me.
yeah. No, 100%. No, I absolutely agree. Right, before we head into our final segment, we did in fact have some Premier League action tonight that took place between Leeds and Liverpool. I don't know if you've seen the final score, Mayhem. Do you want to take a browse for yourself, or would you like me to read out the scoreline from tonight's game between Leeds and Liverpool?
Oh boy, it's a big score.
Oh, he's seen it. Yep. Leeds 1, Liverpool 6.
That's pretty emphatic.
So not so much of a big jump for Liverpool, but it's a heavy fall for Leeds United that puts them only 2 points ahead of Forest, who are occupying 18th place at the moment in the bottom three.
Yeah, they've been on a poor run. I'm sure they're absolutely buzzing to see Liverpool smash six past Leeds as Forest go to Anfield in the next game. But it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough for all the teams in and around there to pick up points. But yeah, they need to find something, and they need to find something quickly.
Absolutely. It's that time. We're going to go over to fantasy football, your fave. Now, there has been a few changes in terms of positions in the fantasy football table. So I'm going to read out the league standings as per usual. So sitting top, only by 8 points now, is Liam. He's on 1808. Moving up into second place is myself on 1800 points. Dropping down into third is Mike, 1796. Moving up into 4th is Endrogene, 1689. That's a big gap between 3rd and 4th. Down in 5th now is You Mayhem, 1678. So you're only 11 points behind 4th place. 6th is Akambi, 1672. 7th is Joe, 1668. 8th place is Cam, and then just below him is Sam on 1615. 17-point gap between Sam and Cam now. And yet the Sports Direct basket has not been confirmed just of yet.
Still floating around.
It's still floating around. We don't know. I'm really hoping one of them does become half price, which makes the decision a little bit easier. So, and if things go to shit, then we perhaps have it saved for next year. Perhaps, who knows? But we're gonna wrap things up. Mayhem, thank you very much for joining me tonight for this episode. It's been a pleasure as always. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for tuning in. If you are new to the Football Booth podcast, you can check out all our episodes on all good audio platforms. If you'd like to catch all the live recordings, head on over to our YouTube channel at the Football Booth. Whilst you're over there, drop a like, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and ring that bell for notifications to keep yourself up to date. And until next Monday, ladies and gents, I bid you all good night and Nastar.